But when did you fall in love with wrestling?
Let's see. Well, when I was a kid, obviously I loved it. I'm a big superhero guy, as you can tell behind me. I got all the Batman and the superhero stuff. And I looked at wrestlers as like superheroes. That's kind of what it was. And back in those days, I was a Warrior guy because, the look, the flash, the promos, all that. I wasn't never that much of a Hogan guy, but I mean, Hogan was Hogan. But I love the Warrior just so much. And I watched it up until the point where I think it was when Taker came in. Him and Warrior were having their feud. He put Warrior in the casket, and like it was air sealed, and like he was going to kill him and all this stuff. And I guess that was just too much for me. Because after that, I quit watching. I was out. And I was out for a long time, man. I didn't come back until 96, maybe 97. So growing up, it's funny because I grew up in the South. I grew up in the Carolinas. Never watched WCW. I know it's Flair country, Horseman country, NWA country. Never watched any of that. We didn't have cable. So it was local television, WWE, Saturday Night's Main Event, Superstars, that kind of thing.
Right.
So first time I ever saw Nitro was right after Diamond Dallas Page won the Battle Bowl and somebody stole his ring. I remember that was the first thing I ever saw was the promo he did, the interview about that. And right after that was when like Black and White Sting, NWO, all that blew up. And then over on Raw, of course, you had Austin McMahon and the Attitude Era. So I came back in at like the absolute perfect time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was one of my favorite periods of time for wrestling, other than this period, obviously, because it's just overload of wrestling right now on every circuit. Can you talk about the independent scene right now that's in on the actually all over the world, but can you talk about the independent scene?
Well, I mean, I got a love-hate with the independent scene. I mean, there's a lot of really good quality promotions out there, but then there's a lot of places that, I personally don't feel like should be running a business because they don't know how to run a business. And that's what wrestling is. It's a business, period. I'm not going to name names or anything like that. Whatever. But it's, like I said, it's a love-hate. But it affords us the opportunity to go out and do what we love and perform, on that level. Which, of course, you can't. Yeah, it's possible to go like from ex-NFL player to WWE superstar. But a lot of guys have to go through the indies. And especially now with the merger with TNA and WWE and the way, I guess Paul's looking at indie wrestling again and bringing those guys, like it's a really exciting time. You have a chance to be an indie wrestler and get to the big times. So, I mean, overall, yeah, it's a good thing. I wish more people would go to indie wrestling and just be entertained, man. Just go and have a good time. Don't think about preconceived notions. Don't think about the like mature stuff they did in the Attitude Era, because there's people who still won't watch wrestling now because they think we're running around going suck it. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're flipping people off. Like, it's the truth. Which now there are some shows where we can do that. But yeah, I think right now probably the indie scene is as hot as it's ever been. And there's so much talent out there. And it makes it harder to get seen and noticed, but I think at the same time it gives you a better opportunity as long as you can get on the right shows and you can get in the ring with the right talent.
All right. Speaking of getting in the ring with the right talent, man, can you talk about some of the great matches that you have and some of the more notable people that you've been in the ring with?
Well, it's funny you mentioned this because this is actually a huge pet peeve of mine, and it's the reason that the chip on my shoulder is not a chip this year. It's a freaking 2x4. The one thing I haven't done a lot in my wrestling career is work with names, the guys that have been to WWE, the guys who are currently at TNA or AEW. I've been on plenty of shows with them, but I've just never been put in those matches. And it's not because I can't protect them. It's not because people don't trust me with them. It's just, I don't know. But I've had the chance to work with Barbarian. I've worked with George South in a tag match before, never one-on-one. I've worked with Ricky Morton in a tag match before, never one-on-one. That's two I'd love to get off the bucket list this year, just being honest. Guys like Heath, guys like Rhett Titus, Eve Fodder, I mean, anybody. Like I just want the best of the best. Like my whole thing, my career, well, at least the last few years, has been getting in there with what they call the green guys, the new guys, the rookies, and giving them experience and kind of showing them how to do things. And that's great, and I love it. I love teaching. I love seeing that light bulb go off when you put that together. But man, I'm not done. I'm not done showing what I'm capable of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've not had the opportunity to get into the ring with the Austin Aries like Vic has, which I was there for that match. That was one of the best matches I've ever seen live. It was incredible. But I want somebody to give me that opportunity because I'm capable of it. I can go with anybody, and I know that. I know that 100% without a doubt. But yeah, so I've not worked with as many big names, honestly, as I'd like to.